He's even one on the ladders.
Oh, there's someone lying on the ground.
Right then,
Yeah,
let's get out of here. I think that car is coming down here.
Not every scary story begins at night. Sometimes it's the middle of the day. Sometimes it's your van. From quiet forests to remote campsites, the eeriest encounters happen when you least expect them. Strange sounds, vanishing figures, or that creeping gut feeling that something's not right. These true camping stories will make you rethink what safety in the wild really means. They didn't go looking for horror, but sometimes horror finds you. Before we dive into these spine-chilling stories, hit that like button if you've ever had a creepy moment while camping, or just enjoy stories that make your skin crawl. And don't forget to subscribe if you want more real encounters that make you think twice about the wilderness. Travel with Gary and Amika might sound like a cozy family travel vlog, and it is. A father-daughter duo exploring the UK in their converted van, chasing beautiful landscapes, quiet nights, and the occasional quirky roadside attraction. Their videos are calm, wholesome, and filled with the charm of a simple life on wheels. But in one particular upload, titled Terrifying Cabin in the Woods, Van Life UK, their journey took a turn that neither of them expected.
We just stopped and had a look in these woods. Look at how scary that is. Put the torch on.
It was a late afternoon when they set off to find a quiet camping spot nestled somewhere in the UK woods. The sky was painted with the soft oranges and blues of dusk, and the only thing on their agenda was finding a peaceful place to park their van and enjoy the evening. Everything felt normal until it didn't.
For a run, we just heard some voices, and Amika was like, "What's that noise?" Wasn't you?
Yeah.
So,
As they meandered through an off-road trail, the forest around them thickened. Birds chirped a little less. The wind rustled through trees that seemed older and darker. Then they saw it.
look at how scary that is. Put the torch on. Whoa.
Look at that one. That one's got red and black hair.
That is weird, isn't it? Look at them, they're everywhere. He's even one on the ladders.
Oh, there's someone lying on the ground. Without
Falling
any
over. Look at the one on the ladders, going up the tree.
legs. Oh, yeah. That's...
An open area appeared on the side of the trail, and something immediately felt wrong. Dozens of wooden dolls stood across the clearing, carved, rough, some leaning, some upright. One stood alone, balanced eerily on a tree stump, like it had been placed there on purpose. But the whole setup didn't feel nurturing. It felt staged, like a scene in a horror film, frozen in mid-frame.
Owl in the tree, and there's a whole house there.
The whole house full of those.
Gary and Amika exchanged nervous glances, their camera still rolling. "That's weird," Gary muttered, scanning the tree line. Amika stayed silent, eyes fixed on something else just beyond the clearing. And there it was.
Whoa. It's all about ladies, that one is.
The second best exotic COVID hotel. And the old car as well.
Partially hidden by a thick brush stood an old wooden structure, a house, or perhaps a cabin that looked entirely out of place. The wood was faded, the windows clouded, and above the door hung a worn-out sign that read, "The Second Best Exotic Co-Hotel." Was it a joke or the work of an eccentric artist's installation? But neither of them felt like laughing.
There's another caravan there. Shine on that caravan.
Oh. What are all those things in the tree?
Yeah, like pumpkins, aren't they? It's a huge place, isn't it?
The deeper they looked, the more they felt like they shouldn't be there. Everything about the scene screamed, "Turn back." And they tried to. Except now they weren't exactly sure which way they'd come from.
There's a carpet in it up there.
Found it quite cool to look at. Right, this is where we paid to get in down here.
Chasing each other. Yeah, swap.
Swap. Right then,
Yeah, it really
let's get out of here.
weird.
Just as the panic began to settle in, they spotted something. A car moving in the distance through the trees. Its path gave them a direction, a way out. Without hesitation, they jumped back into the van and drove. Fast, focused, silent. Nothing followed them. Nothing chased them. But the memory stuck. The creepy dolls, the strange house, the feeling that maybe someone or something had been expecting them. Not every story ends with screams or shadowy figures. Sometimes it's just a place that feels wrong, off in ways you can't explain. But other campers aren't so lucky. Some never even make it back to the road. It's one thing to sense you don't belong. It's another to be noticed by something alive. And sometimes, nature doesn't offer a warning, just a reason to run. What do you think those dolls were for? Art installation or something more sinister? Let me know in the comments, because I'm not sure I'd have stayed long enough to find out. Kyle Morgan was trying to get some fresh air. It was early morning in Provo, Utah, and Kyle had planned to do a solo trail run through the woods before heading to a nearby camping site. The air was crisp, the forest was calm, and the rising sun filtered through the trees in gentle streaks. It felt like the kind of peaceful morning only the wilderness could offer until it didn't. Jogging deeper into the wooded trail, Kyle suddenly slowed. Up ahead, something unusual stood in his path, a small, furry animal, completely still. He paused, a smile creeping in. It looked like a baby bobcat. Rare, adorable, and seemingly harmless. With a grin, he reached for his phone, eager to capture the moment and share it with friends. Or maybe even post it online for his followers.
You! Holy face!
But what Kyle didn't know was that this wasn't a harmless bobcat. It was a cougar cub. And in the wild, when you see a cub, you're already in danger because the mother is never far behind. In a split second, the illusion of peace shattered. The brush beside the trail rustled violently, and from the undergrowth emerged the mother cougar, eyes locked on Kyle with deadly focus. There was no curiosity in her gaze, just cold, primal calculation. She wasn't watching him. She was stalking him. Kyle froze. His camera still rolled as he began to back away, slow, careful. The cougar advanced, low to the ground, muscles tensed. Her growl deepened with each step. This wasn't a warning. This was control. It was no bluff. Kyle had intruded, and she was ready to make sure he didn't forget it.
No! Get the away! Oh. No! No! Go away! Go away! Please go away!
Desperately trying to appear larger, he waved his arms and yelled, hoping the noise would scare her off. But she didn't flinch. Instead, she lunged toward him, not fully attacking but getting closer, pushing him further back into the unknown. Each move became a high-stakes gamble. The wrong sound, a missed step, and he could be taken down in an instant.
Go eat your babies! You're not getting me, dude. I'm ready to go down.
For nearly 6 minutes, the standoff continued for an eternity when your life hangs in the balance. Kyle's breaths were ragged, his steps shaky, and the cougar showed no signs of stopping. Then he saw it, a large rock on the trail.
Yeah, get the away from me. Face.
With trembling hands, he bent down, grabbed it, and threw it with everything he had. The stone crashed near the cougar's feet. It didn't hit her, but it was close enough. That moment broke the stare. The mother cougar growled one final time before vanishing back into the dense forest. Kyle didn't stop moving until he was far from the trail, shaken to the core, but alive. The footage, later uploaded to ABC7 under the title, "Viral Video Shows Cougar Stalking Utah Hiker," went viral almost immediately. But no video can truly capture the fear of being hunted. That morning was supposed to lead to a relaxing weekend in the woods. Instead, it became a terrifying reminder that the wild doesn't care about your plans. It makes its own. And sometimes, all it takes is a sound to make your blood run cold. You can yell at a mountain lion. You can throw rocks. But what do you do when the threat is human? Or worse, pretending to be? Some dangers you can see. Others are already behind you. Phil from Hike Slam is known for his calm and laid-back hiking vlogs. Whether it's gear reviews or solo overnight trips, he brings a peaceful tone to the wilderness. However, one evening before Thanksgiving in Virginia, peace gave way to something deeply unsettling.
Here in Virginia and do an overnight. It's the day before Thanksgiving. It's supposed to be cold tonight, but I'm looking forward to it. This is gonna be a lot of fun.
It began as a typical overnight on the Appalachian Trail. With cool temps in the low 50s, Phil planned to hike in and camp at one of the shelters he'd used before. The trail was scenic. The river nearby shimmered and golden leaves lined the forest floor. But then he spotted something weird.
As I was walking up, I saw some trash in the trail, and I came across this. So some Bud Light cans, plastic bat, some writing on some of this garbage. Hangman is coming down from the gallows.
Trash littered the trail. Bud Light cans, a plastic bat, and scribbled messages on the debris. One can read, "Hangman is coming down from the gallows." It was either song lyrics or a warning, but either way, it made Phil uneasy. He pressed on. Soon after, he stumbled across something worse.
What the hell? And there's a dead duck here.
A freshly killed duck lying near a long, handwritten note, dry and intact despite the dew. There was also a faint fire burning near what appeared to be an abandoned tarp shelter. It was recent. Too recent. Rattled, Phil pushed deeper down the trail and eventually reached the next designated camping area.
So I'm on the Appalachian Trail. There's John's Hollow Shelter in Point 6. That looks like where I'll probably end up for the night. Hopefully there's no maniacs there.
He decided to keep his distance from that scene and instead find a spot beyond the Forest Service Road, still on the Appalachian Trail.
Sign for the shelter, and you can see it. You can see it down there, right through the trees. All right, approaching the shelter here. There's definitely nobody here. Pretty clean. Shelter log. Pretty cool fire area there. It's set up kind of like a fireplace. My sleeping pad is inflated and holding air. Got my sleeping bag in here. So I just put the stuff sack for the sleeping bag down there.
There, he came upon an empty shelter. Hollow shelter. Quiet, clean, and thankfully far from any road. He collected kindling, found a flat patch behind the structure, and pitched his tent.
Ramen in there.
With the sun dipping low, he made ramen, took out a little whiskey, and started to wind down. Then he noticed the shelter log.
Check out the shelter log here. I hang out by the fire. Almost every shelter on the Appalachian Trail has a shelter log where people write in their trail names and what's going on. They can write whatever they want in there. So it's kind of cool tradition here. All right, let's see what's happened recently. Holy crap. Wait a second. Hold on, let me adjust the camera here. This writing looks almost exactly like the writing that was on that garbage a couple of miles from here.
Almost every AT shelter has one. Hikers sign it, leave notes, and sometimes even doodles. Phil flipped through the John's Hollow shelter log, page after page of notes. Then, one entry made him freeze. The handwriting. It matched what he'd seen earlier in the trash, almost exactly. The log spiraled into a wild ramble of Bible verses, conspiracy theories, prison stories, political rants, and Metallica lyrics. The same disturbed mind had been here and not long ago. That eerie calm was broken all over again.
Look at this one. What do you know? Same handwriting as the one in the book and that garbage on the trail from that same dude. So it says, Watch out for yeet mouse. The dead do walk and talk.
As Phil scanned the shelter, he saw another message scratched above the food hook inside. The dead do walk and talk. That was it.
I keep watching the hill behind the shelter to see if I see a headlamp coming down there. It was super quiet here. I haven't heard any sign of a person at all. I hear animals up in the woods, but I still have my shoes on.
Fire out, gear packed. Phil slipped into his tent, his shoes still on in case he had to make a quick escape. Every snap of a twig outside made him sit up. His headlamp flicked between shadows, waiting, bracing.
It's the middle of the night. I was down in my tent listening to all the sounds, and then I heard somebody down by the shelter. So I packed up all my stuff and I packed it up very quickly. Walked past. As I walked past, I did look. It did look like a single guy hanging out in the shelter. He had a headlamp on.
Then he heard footsteps and a voice. Someone was down at the shelter. Phil didn't stick around. He grabbed everything, hiked fast through the trees, and glanced back only to see a headlamp in the distance. It's another hiker, maybe even harmless. But he wasn't going to wait and find out. He made it back to his truck before dawn, breathless, wired, and wide awake. That shelter log turned out to be more than just ink on paper. It was a message, a warning, a red flag he couldn't ignore. Some signs are warnings, others are invitations. Either way, you'd better notice them before it's too late. However, in the following story, things become even darker because some encounters leave no clues behind. They happen and leave people changed forever. Most of us can brush off trash or eerie scribbles as coincidence. But what if it's not? What if the forest keeps record of the people who pass through, and some aren't meant to leave? What starts as a peaceful solo camp near a quiet lake turns into every camper's nightmare. Around 3:30 a.m., the host of Lost Lakes is jolted awake by something pacing just outside his tent.
I started to hear this pacing sound, and 45 minutes later it's still just pacing around out there. And maintain sanity, and maybe the talking will make it go away. So this is some very remote country despite being right off the highway, and it's the black bear capital of the world, so I'm thinking that's a possibility.
Gravel crunches with every step. It doesn't growl, it doesn't leave, it just circles again and again.
3 main tools. If you're a solo camper, I think these are well worth having with you. Even in the backcountry, it's a little extra weight, but a little air horn, along with the headlamp. Then I have got this little hatchet here.
In total darkness and miles from help, he talks to his GoPro to stay sane. Armed with only a headlamp, air horn, and bear spray he can't safely use indoors, he waits to wonder if curiosity will turn into an attack. It never does, but it never stops either. The woods are vast, quiet, and not always empty. What sounds like silence? It might be something watching or waiting. A quiet reminder, you're not in control out here. If you've ever felt watched while camping or sensed something following you down a trail, you're not alone. If this gave you chills, hit that like button. It really helps the channel. Subscribe for more real-life horror stories from the wild, and let us know in the comments. What's the scariest thing you've ever experienced in the woods? Until next time, stay safe, stay alert, and never ignore the sound of footsteps when you're alone.